Hello friends, welcome to the UPSC Prelims refresher course. This is the fifth video in the Polity series. So in this series, we'll cover some of the important topics, repeating topics that keep occurring year on year, some of the confusing areas and the high focus areas for the prelims examination. The objective is with less efforts, we want to cover high written topics, right? So just quick introduction, myself Nitin, I'm an IIT graduate, was able to write 6 mains and 1 interview, right? However, could not make it to the final list, right? Some of the reasons probably I thought was handwriting was not so good. I also changed optional in between from management to anthro, could not get high marks. And I was also working and preparing for the exam. So maybe that was a bit to my disadvantage. Right, and these are some of the result sheet of the mains examination. Okay, so in today's topic, president and vice president, very, very important every other year, or there'll be some question related to them. So president is a part of the parliament. Okay, president, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, president. However, vice president is not part of the parliament. Okay, so this is mentioned in Lakshmikant as well. So please pay attention, right? So vice president is a chairman of Rajya Sabha. There's no doubt, but he's not a member of it. Okay. Qualification: president should be qualified for election as a member of Lok Sabha, and vice president should be qualified, right, to be a member of Rajya Sabha. So you can go back and check what are the qualifications that is required to be a member for Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So what are the minimum age for president and vice president is actually 35, right? For Lok Sabha it is 25 and for Rajya Sabha it is 30, right? And for Panchayat elections, please go and check what is the age limit. There was one question on the age for the panchayats in the prelims examination. Hmm? Have a check. And oath of office. The President of India takes oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of India. And however, Vice President does not take oath to protect the Constitution. So usually how the way the question is framed is who takes oath to protect, whose duty it is to preserve, protect and defend the constitution. Is it president? Is it judiciary? Is it vice president? Is it prime minister? Right? So the answer would be president of India. So schedules of the constitution. I hope you remember each and every schedule, all the 12 schedules of the constitution, right? Because there have been questions on either of those schedules every year. First schedule, names of duties and union territories. Second schedule, emolument, allowance and privileges, right? And the third schedule, oath of office. Fourth schedule, allocation of seats in Rajya Sabha, right, to various different states. Okay. Fifth and sixth, very, very, very important on the scheduled areas and the tribal areas, right? So please be clear what are the differences between fifth and sixth schedule, which all the areas come under fifth and sixth schedule, right? There is because I think the tribal areas and all is in news very often, right? Fifth schedule, three list, state, central, and concurrent list. Eighth schedule deals with the languages, right? Ninth schedule added by the First Amendment to protect laws from judicial review, right? Whichever some of the laws which to prevent the judiciary from reviewing certain laws, so the ninth schedule was created. 10th schedule anti-defection law, right? This again is very important. There has been numerous questions and anti-defection law. So and 11th and 12th schedule rural and urban local bodies, right? So in which year the law was passed? I think 1991, 92, during that period. Okay. Parts of the constitution, I think this is very basic, but I think in one of the years, 2021 or 22, So in one of the questions, it was mentioned part 3, as per the part 3 of the constitution, it refers to certain thing, right? So just quick revision: part 1, union and its territory; part 2 of the constitution, citizenship; part 3, fundamental rights, right, from article 13 to article 35; then DPSP 38 to article 51; article 51A, fundamental duties, right? So you can find out from which country did we adopt fundamental duties, DPSP, right? I think this we have covered in the previous video. And again, here also fundamental duties, I think please try to memorize all the fundamental duties, right? So I think one common question is, given a statement, is it a fundamental duty? Is it a DPSP? Is it a fundamental right? Right? You should be able to answer that. And even DPSPs, right? So all the DPSPs from Article 38 till Article 50, try to memorize all of them because you can use them in, there'll definitely be questions in prelims examination, and even in your mains answers, you can use the DPSPs, you can use it in your essays, you can use it in your ethics paper, everywhere you can use them. Union territories, right? So this is also a favorite area because of this being in news for Delhi, Puducherry, right? Mm. So some of the union territories were merged and new union territories was created, right? Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, right? So that's why it has been in news over the years. So a union territory is administered by the administrator appointed by the President of India, not the Prime Minister, right? Whoever President appoints, it can be a lieutenant governor, anybody, and they will be administrating them. Governor of a state can also be appointed as an administrator of a union territory for time being or whenever required. So only Delhi and Puducherry have a legislative assembly and elected council of ministers. Okay, but none of the other union territories do not have a legislative assembly. Please be clear. And which article uh, deals with union territories? Article 239. And still, even though Delhi and Puducherry have a legislative assembly, still Parliament can make laws on all the list, even in case of Delhi and Puducherry. It's a special case, right? So that's the reason. Parliament can establish a high court for a union territory as well, right? So we have the Delhi High Court, right? Always in news. If LG Lieutenant Governor Lieutenant General does not agree with the advice of the Council of Ministers, he refers the matters to the President, and in the meantime, he can act in his own discretion, right? So he can reserve the advice of this Council of Ministers for presidential interference or advice. In case of failure of constitutional machinery, President can impose his rule on Delhi and Puducherry. Okay, even whenever there is any constitutional breakdown, right? So what happens in case of failure of the constitutional machinery in states, right? So you can just quickly find out what would happen, right? It's just a small exercise. So Delhi and Puducherry have representation in Rajya Sabha as well. So this also is very, very important, right? So who are the MPs representing Rajya Sabha? The other union territories do not have representation, but Delhi and Puducherry do have members from these union territories representing in the Rajya Sabha. Okay, cut motions. So there are three important cut motions usually passed during the budget activities. Okay, so one is a policy cut. So whenever a motion is passed for a policy cut, so to be reduced any scheme, any provisions of the government, there is a motion to cut it to rupees 1, means the members of the house, they disagree with the government policy, they're not in favor, and so therefore they move a motion to cut the budget allocation to only 1 rupee. Okay, and in the case of economic cut, So it's moved by the members when they agree with the policy, but they feel the amount allocated for that is very high. Like for Narega, some amount is allocated, or for some infrastructure area, they would say reduce by 10,000 crores, 5,000 crores extra. So this is called economic cut motion. In case of token cut motion, it is a motion is being passed to reduce it by rupees 100 and rupees 100. This is just to show the dissatisfaction or the disagreement by the members of the house, right, towards the government. So even if any cut motion, if it is accepted and is passed, so government is considered defeated, right? And the Lok Sabha has to resign. Right? Why is this? Why is the government defeated? Because in Lok Sabha, usually the government is in majority, right? So, right, usually these motions are passed by the opposition members. So usually it does not get accepted by the Speaker of the House. Then finally, as I mentioned, directive principle of state policies, please make sure you remember all of them from Article 38 till Article 51. Right, so this is just right just to give you some important which are in news, right? So uniform civil code, right? I think there is debate that government wants to introduce uniform civil code, so please be prepared. Article 44, Article 48A to protect and improve the environment. Article 50, very important. So it's to separate judiciary from executive, right? All the three arms, legislature, judiciary, executive. So Article 50 specifically mention of the separation of powers between judiciary and executive. And Article 51 to promote international peace and security. It's a DPSP, right? It's an obligation of the government, and to provide free legal aid to the poor, Article 43A, right? Another important area of DPSP is, right, we have those three provisions, which is the Gandhian uh, rules, which is towards development, right? So this is also mentioned in the Lakshmikant book. So please revise, right, which of the articles are aligned to Gandhian policies, Gandhian ideologies, right? There was also one question related to this in the prelims examination. So I hope this video you find it useful. Please drop in your comments in the comment section. It will help us improve. Thank you for watching.